Libras, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 30th through June 5th, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. All right, so Libra, this week we have a new moon over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, which is going to be forming a Grand Cross in the sky. So Grand Cross is all about that constructive energy. You know, this is where things are really built in our life through that personal development. And I feel like this week is going to be particularly about spiritual development because we are going to be in that balsamic phase approaching that new moon. So this is the time where the energies are lowering down. It's a good time to be listening, to be receptive. And then over the weekend, perhaps planting these new seeds in terms of where we can take action and move things forward for the following weeks. So this is all involving your 8th house. Okay, and this is the house of everything that is about truth. And this is the truth of self, which can be actualized or, uncovered through that deep diving, through approaching fears in our life, accepting our fears, which then leads to that liberation, that transformation, and interpersonally as well, perhaps, which is getting more intimate in our personal life, getting more intimate and open. Right, more vulnerable, these kinds of things. So that's the new beginning for you, and this is all about new beginnings with what really matters in life. This is everything that is really deep, true, and real in our life, whether it's personally within us, through our transformation, which then leads to that spiritual development, that spiritual liberation, or in our relationships of really connecting on that deeper level. So that's the new moon. It's going to be conjoining your ruler. So in many ways, you guys are having some new beginnings. It's almost like this is a new you that's much more, open or deeper or whatever it might be, right? Or there's more bonds, there's more of that deeper connection. So as we approach that, again, receptive and just kind of listening and seeing where we can develop ourselves constructively here. So that's what the aspects are this week, or all the aspects involving this Grand Cross. And as the week unfolds, it kind of leads into that. So this is all starting on Monday and Tuesday when Mercury trines up to Pluto. So this has been Mercury in your relationship sector. Perhaps you guys have learned a lot about relationships this past month, roughly, with Mercury retrograde and then direct in this area. Maybe about that directness, that independence there, that's so important. So whatever that relationship stuff is, it might be a perspective, it might be something in particular. A trine up to Pluto is suggesting a good change or a good new understanding or insight, in regards to your relationships. And I think it's an excellent day for those 2 days in regards to relationships. Again, it could even be deep because Pluto is the natural ruler of that 8th house. Then as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we do have the Sun squaring up to Neptune. So this is the first aspect of this Grand Cross. So the Neptune side of this has been in regards to your self-expression. Right, over many years, it's been so important for you to let go in regards to your self-expression, in regards to the things that are close to your heart, whatever that might be. For some of you, it might be your interests, your hobbies, things that you're passionate about. So there's uncertainty with it, or there can be with Neptune here. So it's showing that there's an area that is unfolding, but in a divine timing, in a way that maybe we don't understand and we're not seeing, and at least not conceptually. And that's exactly what Neptune shows us, how to ease up the conceptual mind. The mind creates that haze. That's the thing that creates the confusion. It's what creates the layer between us and what is. And so really seeing what is this week in regards to your passions or your self-expression without judgment, without labeling, whatever, just allowing it to flow and observing it and accepting it can be very spiritually liberating. All right, and this is also the same thing in regards to these deeper things in your life, right? Whether it's those deeper relationships, deeper connection with self, your openness, all right, having faith and trust, acceptance there, acceptance of self, especially with Venus squaring up to Neptune Thursday and Friday. Now, Thursday and Friday as well, the Sun is going to be opposing up to Saturn, so this is a balancing new moon, which isn't always the case. And so the balancing point here with this is that Saturn's been helping you really get serious with your material life. Establish, for some of you, maybe your financial situation. For others, if it's more on a non-material level, maybe your personal sense of self-worth, self-reliance, self-esteem even, in terms of what you can attract in your life. So it's good to put in energy here in terms of cultivating your values, particularly your material values. But this is the balance, right? We don't want to get too caught up into just the material side of things, because then it can become very dense with this, for example, with Saturn. And we don't want to just get into the deep transformational stuff, the non-physical stuff, the deeper thing in life, because then that can unground us with the opposition from Saturn. So it's about balance, understanding that there's a material counterpart to life, and it's important to have of course, the material life structured and in order, and likewise to have new things cultivated with what really matters, right? So that'll be especially Thursday and Friday, and then at that same time period, that's when Venus gets real close to the Sun, and they're going to conjoin next week. So here with you guys, you could be feeling perhaps passionate. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of just kind of fierceness with the Sun, coming through. Just in terms of it can kind of muddle us or who we are, because there's either a lot of passion or a lot of this energy, right? It's a receptive time, it's a lowering of energy, but it's that life force, that prana. And so a good way of working with it is to be aware of it, to bring the attention to it, bring attention to the self, keep everything nice and balanced with the self, with the ego, which is that Venus for you, the first house ruler. And through that, it helps keep things nice and modest, nice and balanced, because it's very important with Venus and the Sun combust like this to have this balance of moderation. Moderation of, I think, self and drives or self-interests, even with the deeper aspects of life, power, things that we want. This is all about the house of desire. This is an axis of desire. These are the things we want that aren't physical, right? So having that awareness there helps keep everything nice and balanced. Now, Friday and Saturday, Venus then opposes up to Saturn, again confirming the exact same thing. And because it's your ruler, I think balance, especially with the patient side, right, without getting too extreme into that. And just having that healthy amount of long-term approach, yet seeing what's possible, because on those 2 days, Friday and Saturday, that conjunction is going to be squaring up to Jupiter. All right, so here's where Jupiter comes into the picture, which is showing you that there's been so many opportunities, I think, to cultivate your aspirations. Maybe even some of you to cultivate your network circles, or your connect with your friends, or group activities, community. But definitely on a fundamental level, your aspirations. So this is where the opportunities are coming in, whether it's through networks or it's just through cultivating your aspirations. And in this square, it's so important to have the constructive approach, right? Because sometimes in a square with Jupiter, it still comes across as benefic, but we might want it easy. We might want it, to come easy to us. We might not be optimistic about it at all. In fact, we might be pessimistic, depending on how we work with this. So it's remembering that there are possibilities. There's definitely new opportunities and new things unfolding in the aspirations, in the network circles. But with that Saturn, it's all about this constructive approach. Patience with that steady growth, which has been Jupiter squaring up to Saturn. All right, so that's Friday, Saturday, and then Saturday, Sunday is that new moon. And that's the new beginnings with what really matters. And as we approach that, this spiritual development, this constructive energy of this whole, all these houses of desire. That's what these 4 houses are about. The material desires, the passions, or creative self-expression, right? Those desires. The non-material desires, everything deep and meaningful in life. And the aspirations, all right? The possibilities for the future. And this is exactly what you're cultivating as new beginnings with these things, going into next week more externally. But it's a good week of developing ourselves spiritually to set the foundation for that. All right, so Libras, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.